Hi, what is up you guys? It's been a very long time since I've made a video, and I have a lot of different reasons for that. I've been getting a few people in my DMs over the past couple months being like, you know, I saw your UConn videos or your sorority videos and I had some questions, and I tried to get to as many questions as I could. Whenever people would ask me like, oh, how's your YouTube channel going? I was kind of like, well, it's not really going right now because I haven't been focusing on it as much. But a lot has happened since the last time that I made videos and was kind of in more constant contact with all of you. I graduated from UConn this past spring with a double major in biology and Spanish and a minor in ecology and evolutionary biology. This past year being a senior at UConn was very different than all of the other years that I was there. We still managed to salvage some of those last pieces of remembering UConn and closure that I feel like the class of 2020 didn't really get to experience. So that being said, I want to kind of reinstate my YouTube channel by starting off with a video as a love letter to all of the incoming freshmen or sophomores or new people who are transferring to UConn. You guys really have such an amazing thing ahead of you. It's also really weird feeling like a washed up graduate. A little update, I know a lot of you know that I was pre-med before. I no longer am considering applying to medical school. That might change in the future, but in the meantime, it really doesn't feel like the right path for me, and that was a very hard decision to come to. So for the time being, still not really sure where my career is going, and I'm looking for some clarity on that. Hopefully I can find some more time to make videos. I've been working a lot, probably about 50 to 60 hours a week between my two jobs. It's been a busy summer to say the least, but I'm going to transition back by talking to you guys about UConn. Also, I just ask that you bear with me right now because it's really weird sitting here talking in front of my camera because I haven't done this in so long. So if this video is a little different, just bear with me as I'm adjusting to, you know, recording again and feeling like I'm talking to myself. So I'm just gonna start off with some questions that I was getting from my friend Gabby. Shout out. She's moving to the Stores campus for the first time this upcoming semester and suggested a couple questions that I talk about here that you guys might find helpful. And then I'm also gonna look at some questions that I got in my DMs and try to talk about those as well. So the first question that a lot of people were asking was about dorm supplies and what are some essential dorm supplies that you might not originally think of that definitely proved to be helpful. So one of my main helpful things that I had when I was in a dorm was one of those plastic like shoe rack type things that hang over a door. Even though I didn't always have shoes in it, I kept all of my hair care products and things like that all tucked into the little pockets. When you're living in a dorm room, it's really about maximizing that vertical space that you have because you really don't have that much horizontal space. I originally had a wooden shoe rack that I kept on top of my desk where I had like all my little smoothie things for, and then a little side part for my books, my folders, and notebooks. And then once I went to sophomore year, I got like this really nice wooden over the desk shelf thing that held like my plants, candles, and other things that I wanted to have like right on top of my desk. So I would definitely suggest getting like an over the desk type shelf. Another thing that was a lifesaver was my popcorn machine, and I know that sounds crazy. I think I might have talked about this before, but I have like the Pop Light air popper thing, and you just put the popcorn kernels in and you have popcorn in like 2 minutes. Then you can add all of your own seasonings and flavors, so it doesn't have all the same like chemicals and stuff that the microwave bags do, and you can kind of customize it. I really liked putting ranch seasoning on them, and it was nice to always have like a snack on hand. Plus you can keep a jar of the kernels and always just refill it when you get them from the store. If you don't have a swipe card for your door and you have like a literal metal key, which is what I had my freshman year, a lot of people would attach that to their key ring and keep a tile, like the little tracker thing, on their wallet. UConn would always ask for like I think it was a $20 lockout fee, and that definitely saved a lot of people from a lot of lockout fees. So always having those little location trackers on will help you a ton. Definitely make sure that you have like a few chargers, a few laptop chargers always on hand that you can take with you, and ones that you can keep in your room, because when you're going from class to class and maybe the gym or activities, clubs, sports, your phone will die very, very quickly. Nothing is worse than being in class and seeing your laptop battery go from like 8 to 7% to 6%, and you know it's about to die, and then you're like, all right, well, guess I'm switching over to handwritten notes. That being said, also make sure you always have a handwritten notebook on hand. The second question was how early to start connecting with professors about things like research labs. The answer is it's never too early to start. But even if you think it's too late, it's usually not too late. So when I originally wanted to start getting into research, my advisor suggested that I just start Googling UConn lab and then whatever I was interested in and see what pops up. There were a couple of things that popped up that I was intrigued in, and then I went to look at the professor who was in charge of the lab, read their little biography, emailed a few of them, and then the one that really spoke to me was Dr. Kumar Venkita. So I was in contact with him over a few emails, and then we met in person. It was the fall of my junior year. I loved working in that lab so much. I ended up conducting my honors thesis there, but it's really, really easy to find research labs at UConn. Maybe getting into them might be a little more difficult, but there is so much research happening at UConn all the time. It really is a research-driven school. So if you ever have questions about like reaching out to professors, let me know and I can help you write emails. It seems scary in your head, and it definitely was to me, but once you start getting a feel for it and finding things that you're really passionate about, it comes very naturally, and the professors always love having extra students come in. A third question was how to adapt your learning style. So I kind of had the opposite problem where I was already used to in-person learning and then had to switch to virtual learning, but it ultimately helped me in studying for the MCAT, because I think that if I hadn't already done an entire semester of virtual learning in the spring of 2020, I would not have known how to study for the MCAT the following summer. So it ended up working out in my favor. Now a lot of you are going to be transitioning from virtual learning to in-person learning. You're going to have to get used to waking up for classes if they're early and allowing yourself the time to walk to class, which could definitely be really difficult if you live on a further part of campus. But if you can go to in-person classes and you feel comfortable doing so, definitely take advantage of that, because it's going to be a very different environment with, you know, people trying to get letters of recommendation from professors and people trying to build relationships with professors. I mean, building relationships with professors was very difficult when I was on campus at UConn just because of the size of many of the classes. So I definitely think having an in-person presence in class will be an advantage to you. So a fourth question is how to navigate and learn your way around campus, because UConn does have a really big campus, and I have never been relaxed in my life ever. And when I was a freshman, I printed out a copy of like the campus map, figured out where all of my classrooms were going to be, and mapped my route from one classroom to another for every single class throughout the day. And while that is definitely a little bit neurotic, I found it to be super helpful, because even though it is different when you're looking at a map versus when you actually have the buildings around you, you already have your route kind of planned, so you know the general direction you need to go in. And then once you start to learn those routes, you'll figure out how they all connect with each other. Another thing too is everybody's going to be so excited to be back on campus that I feel like people are going to be walking around all the time. Like even in your free time, I remember as a freshman, we would literally just go on walks around campus, and that helped me learn it so much. I have a pretty good sense of direction. I definitely had like the main area of campus down solid within the first week. If you don't have a good sense of direction, it will probably take you a lot longer than that, but it's not something that you should be overly concerned about. As long as you know like the essential places you need to go, you'll be fine, and the rest will come from there. This question is a little more personal to me, but I was asked what my like special kind of favorite spots on campus are, and now that I'm not at UConn anymore, I don't have to gatekeep these spots from all of you, because you guys can just go and find them and enjoy them for yourself. So my personal favorite place to study was on the second floor of the row building, but it overlooks the quad, so you can see everybody like playing frisbee and playing spike ball, and on really nice days you just see everybody hanging out while you're sitting there studying, and the sun goes down and it's really, really beautiful. Another really nice place to study is, I forget which floor of the chem building it's on. I want to say it's the top floor where all of the offices are. There's this really cool study room with like a big open window. It's gorgeous, and not a lot of people know about that room either. The psych building was always pretty empty. I think it's called Bousfield. The psych building was a really nice place to study because there was like a flow of people going around, but it was never like loud or extremely busy. That was always the place that I would sit down and do work if it was like crunch time. Like if I had exhausted all of my other options and I just needed to go somewhere and like isolate myself, that's where I would go. I've talked about this in videos before, but I also kind kind of avoided the library like the plague. I would go to the 3rd floor on 3 North to the high top tables a lot my freshman year. Oh, and my 4th favorite like special little place that I can think of is the little study room in Whitney Dining Hall. So Whitney Dining Hall, I've talked about this before, was always my favorite dining hall, but they just completely redid it. So when you walk in to the dining hall and then go all the way to the right through the double doors, and then all the way to the right, there's like this little back room with a round table. And that's like a nice room to just like camp out with your friends, and you guys can like get your lunch, get your dinner, whatever, and sit around and do work. And it's nice because you have like the coffee and tea station right there. It's kind of like sitting in the library, but better because you have like food and everything you need right there just in case you want it. The next question is, what are some UConn like traditions or nuances that you might not really know about until you get to campus? First one that probably everybody knows about is you can't step on the seal outside of the library until you graduate, because if you do, I think it means that you're like not gonna graduate in 4 years. One of the funniest things is like on the days that it snows, if you look out at the seal from the library or from the row building, you'll notice that like all of the snow is like kind of like trampled down with footprints around the seal, and then the seal just is this little perfect spot of like white snow that's like untouched because nobody will walk around it. Another thing that I literally just remembered, I don't know how this did not come to memory at first, it always rains on Tuesdays. It's like a UConn thing. I don't know why, but it's just something that people have been saying since I was a freshman. Well, since long before that, but I started hearing it as soon as I came to campus. I don't know what it is about Tuesdays, but if it's a Tuesday, make sure to bring your umbrella just in case, because even if you walk outside and it looks like a beautiful sunny day, chances are it'll probably start raining at some point during the day. The other thing too are some like iconic UConn stories. So there is this one story about this guy with like mac and cheese in the Union. So if you hear people talking about like the mac and cheese story, basically this guy was, I'm pretty sure he was drunk in the student union. This was like the year before I got there, so it must have been like 2015 or 2016, and he started like a literal like fight with the workers because they didn't have the jalapeno mac and cheese. And then there was also this video that was circulating of this girl who got absolutely bodied by a canoe that was like going down Horse Barn Hill, or maybe it was a kayak. I don't really know. You're gonna have to look up all these videos on your own, but they're like these iconic UConn videos. And then the last thing that I can think of is the UConn desk chairs. So if you live in any of like the res halls that are on campus, you get like your bed, you get a desk, and then you get this desk chair. And the desk chair is like flat on the bottom, but then it has like this sort of tilt in the legs at the back, so you could lean back if you wanted to. Like, it's not a rocking chair, but when you're like sitting in the desk chair and you like tilt the chair back, if you let it fall to that like second level of the platform, it feels like you're falling before it actually catches you, so it's scary. Like the first time it happened to you, you literally think that you're gonna die. I was really bored one night. I was alone in my dorm room and I wrote like this poem about the desk chairs and posted it on Buy or Sell. I don't know why I thought I was like so funny and cool for doing that, but then the poem ended up getting like 800 likes and people were like, oh my god, like I saw your poem about the desk chairs. And that was just another like random thing. Be careful in those desk chairs because it is actually really scary when you're falling back and you feel like it's not going to catch you. So keep that in mind. I also always get a lot of questions in my DMs about like the honors program and sorority recruitment, both of which I know like a pretty good amount about. So I could make so many more videos about like sorority recruitment and the honors program and like go really into detail about those. So if you guys have any questions about those, please just put them in the comments and I will try to make another video soon, hopefully before sorority recruitment actually happens, if you guys do have questions about that. So if you have never watched my YouTube videos before, I really hope this was helpful, and also make sure to check out the other videos I've made in the past. I'm sorry if this video is repetitive too. It's been a long time since I've made the other one, so I might have gone over the same thing twice. But if you have any further questions, remember I'm always here. Please reach out to me and say hi, and I will try to get more back on track and start making videos for you guys soon. Thank you so much for sticking around till the end, and if you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hopefully I will talk to you soon. Bye.